Okay, so as most Commodore owners will know, if they've got a rear spoiler, when it rains you tend to get water collecting in the boot lid. It doesn't generally leak in the boot, just the boot lid. But then when you reopen the boot and stick your arm or your head in there, you get a ton of water that will then empty onto you, which is somewhat annoying, especially if you've got packages or something you don't want soaked in the boot as well. So I'm just going through and removing the rear spoiler, and I have to move the two nuts on each side. This side I actually got the stud come out as well because the nut was a bit rusted onto the stud, so but it wasn't too drastic. Okay. So just got to pull the wiring out, and to do that I've got to remove the upper boot lid lining. I don't think this had ever been off before. It was in really good condition and all of the fittings were really tight, so I think this is the first time it's actually been off the car. So you just go around and slowly remove them. I do have a clip remover, but couldn't be bothered going to get it, so I just used my fingers and some pliers just to carefully get underneath and pop them out. Seemed to work okay. Pretty used to removing clips and things from cars. I used to do car audio and security as a job, so I pulled a few cars apart. So the plug that needs to be plugged up here is the wires are just red and black wires that go into the rear spoiler for the high level stoplight. A little bit fiddly in there, you're only working through a little hole in the boot lid. And we'll just feed it through. Carefully remove it away so don't scratch the car at all. Now see how that hole's oval and it overlaps? That's where the water was going in. So whoever fitted the rear spoiler in the factory just used a file or a drill and just rather roughly, without much care and attention, made that hole bigger so the plug would fit, and that's why it's leaked. And you can see that on the gasket just there as well. So that's a little bit disappointing to know that, you know, it's just someone's carelessness that actually caused this problem to begin with. So I've made up some new gaskets just out of some rubber that I'd bought. Rubber's quite thick. I purchased it before I removed the rear spoiler, so probably could have bought something a bit thinner. But the advantage of this rubber is that it does squish down, and I've made it a little bit bigger than the original gasket, so should provide a seal over the enlarged hole in the boot lid. So I just use the craft knife to cut the holes out to match the original gaskets. The original gaskets actually looked okay, apart from because of that enlarged hole was just a bit small in that one area, and with the water running down the boot lid, it just ran into the boot, or ran into the boot lid, I should say. I'll just make sure my sizing's right. Seems it was a little bit out. Little bit of a trim and everything's okay. So I've got some double-sided tape that I'll use to stick it to the rear spoiler. So we're doing this in double quick time, maybe triple quick time. Just holding it up to use the light. This double-sided tape's actually really thin, but it's very sticky. And if you do have to remove it, you can sort of just roll your thumb or your fingers across it and it will just bunch up and come off. A little bit sticky, but it's kind of what you want. Back to the refitting, just threading the high level stoplight wire through. It's a little bit of a fiddly job because of the small hole that you're working with on the inside. Can't really get your fingers in there all the way. So I'll just put a nut on here just to secure the lid. This was the one with the rusted nut in the stud. It was a bit short, so I just had to wind the nut off so I could then put the stud onto the rear spoiler and then tighten the nut up as per the other three. The studs are so long that the extra thickness of the rubber that I put on there didn't cause any issues. Still plenty of length. Get it all nice and tight. So I've already fitted the inside lining again. All the clips are in place, none missing. So looking good and tidy. So you can see the thickness of the rubber here. Don't think it'll cause a problem. And all I need now is some rain to test it. So thank you for watching.